This is the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast, episode 394.
I program my own computer.
We have a server crash, 404 error, page not found, links aren't working, system is crashing, system is crashing, system is crashing.
Your old HTML website, barely alive. We have the technology. We have WordPress. A new website, better than it was before. Better, stronger, faster. We have the technology. The technology.
Why, hello everybody, this is Adam Silver, the host of the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. All right, upcoming events. There's one, which I should have mentioned last week, or maybe 10 days ago. Anyway, WordPress Translation Day 2021. It's the entire month of September. It's pretty cool. It's over at wptranslationday.org. It's free, it's virtual, it's the entire month, like I said. You can do local meetups. So I guess there are some local aspects, but there's more of a global initiative as well. I'll put a link in the show notes, of course. If you want to help in do any translation to WordPress, it would be greatly appreciated, I am sure. So check that out. And I think that's it. Yeah, that's it for upcoming events. Moving on, segment one. In the news, two things here. WordPress 5.8.1 was released, the update there. Basic security and maintenance release, 3 security issues that affected WordPress versions between 5.4 to 5.8. So that's been taken care of, and some other things as well. I'll link to the show notes, but you should definitely update that as well. Have a good backup in place first. And also in the news, Jetpack acquires the WordPress social plugin social image generator back on September 8th. That happened just a few days ago from recording this. Link in the show notes to that as well. Pretty cool, nice acquisition there. So check that out if you're interested. All right, moving on to segment 2, the meat potatoes of this week's episode. But first, a word from our sponsor. Running a web design agency, an e-commerce website, or software as a service-based business isn't always fun nor easy. Moving from idea to product to sale takes a lot of energy and people and feedback. Add to the mix the potential of multiple decision makers with everyone chiming in. Making progress can become a nightmare. And who wants to deal with all that email? I don't, that's for sure. So how does my team handle it? Simple. We use Marker.io. For one of our recent projects, we installed the widget and collected feedback on both the staging and live websites. Marker.io allows us to customize the settings, which provides the use of different forms for internal teams as well as from customers. So cool. Gone are the days where a client has to try to explain in text what they want changed. Since Marker.io grabs a screenshot and allows you to mark it right up, right there on the screen. And when you're ready to review the feedback, well, no need to log into a new site or service to see the feedback, since Marker.io integrates into your favorite project manager or issue tracker seamlessly. Speed up website testing and collect client feedback easily without driving yourself or your team crazy. Simply head over to Marker.io for more info. That's MARKER.io. And thanks for sponsoring this week's episode of the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast. All right, and moving on, segment 2, meat potatoes of this week's episode. 8 reasons to start your own business. So, like I mentioned a few weeks ago, just 2 weeks ago, as of this recording, I celebrated the 5th anniversary of running my agency, conciergewp.com. And I did get a whole bunch of feedback and congratulations and emails and well wishes. And I thank each and every one of you for those. Very nice, very heartfelt to get those. And I also got some letters in the mail. So you know who you are when you write every week. But I got 2 of those. Very nice. So, just very cool. And I also got some kudos for closing in on episode 400 of this podcast, but that's in a couple more weeks to go. We'll talk about that later. So out of that episode, 2 weeks ago, 5-year anniversary, a few conversations came out of it, specifically questions about starting a business now, both in and outside of the WordPress space. The example here, like the IE is, would I do it over again 5 years ago, knowing what I know now? Would I do it, or would I work full-time for the man, etc.? Are there any benefits and perks, per se? So, of course, since more than 2 people asked me pretty much the same question, it makes for an episode of this podcast. So here are 8 reasons why I suggest you start your own business, okay? And it can be inside of WordPress or outside. And full disclosure and disclaimer, the market is not saturated. There is plenty of work. There are slow times of the year. There's ups and downs, but there is so much work out there if you want to find it. And again, so many different avenues you can go through and go into within WordPress itself. You don't need to be an agency. You can be a content creator. You can do SEO. There's so many things you can do. But all that said, Here are 8 reasons, in no specific real order, that I suggest you start your own business. So number 1, you get to create something from scratch. You get to watch the organization grow from start to finish. In an ideal world, you can pursue a passion project that happens to have a need or someone will pay you for it. But either way, you get to create something completely new that's all yours, your ownership, your everything, your heart and soul is it. So I think it's kind of cool. So number 1 is you get to create something that inspires you to do, right? That's kind of cool. Number 2, you get to call the shots. Now, no one else is going to set the rules here. You are. It's your game plan, your focus, and it sounds simple, and it can be, but it takes what I call, or other people call as well, intrinsic drive. You have to drive yourself to do it because you're calling the shots. No one's telling you what to do at this point in your life. If it's your business, you're a scratch, you got to itch it. You have to drive it yourself. Okay. Number 3, flexibility. Now you get to work your own hours. That's awesome. We all want that, right? Well, yes. And this is an odd one. It really depends on the type of company you're creating. So if you have clients, you might need to be available for them. Keep that in mind. If it's a product that you have, you may not need to be available all the time, but some of the certain times of the day, maybe support and sales need to be available more than you. If you're just doing business development or you're the developer, you're a coder or you're a writer, again, depends on what it is you're doing. The flexibility to work your own hours is really up to you. Okay. Number 4, you get to set your own deadlines. No more last minute rushing around, unless of course you want to, and you want to have that stress. Now saying that, I don't recommend putting things off. It's going to cause undue stress, which can lead to burnout and depression and mental health issues and physical issues. You get my drift. I mean, I've talked about that a few times on this podcast. But as you've created this new entity, you get to set the timelines on how things are done. So yes, you can set your own deadlines, and you just need to abide by those and make sure you have the balance that you're looking for here. Okay. Number 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 5, you get to sell what you want and how you want. Your product, your service, online, in person, inbound, outbound. It's your decision and your call completely. No one has to tell you otherwise. If you want to be an affiliate remarketer, resales person, that's up to you as well. Affiliates being just people who sell other people's products, but that's not what I think most people were asking me about 2 weeks ago after the other episode. So you get to decide all that on yourself, on your own, about how you want to go about that. Number 6 here. Build a team. You get to build the team. You get to decide on who to hire, who to bring into your team. It's up to you. Not easy, but it's really cool because, you really have that ability to kind of just, I don't know, it's a new thing when you go to hire your first person. I will tell you that right now. But it's really kind of neat. So you get to build a team. And I want to tag on that one. This is number 7. You get to create jobs based on building that team. And I think this is one of the best parts about having your own company. You get to create job opportunities for other people to help provide for them and their families. And I think that's really empowering. I really do. It's one of my favorite things is the fact that I know that the team I employ, albeit they're contractors, they appreciate the work I send them, I think. I like to believe so. Otherwise, they wouldn't do the work and they wouldn't be all the nice as they are to me, etc. So I get to create jobs. I think it's pretty cool. And lastly, number 8 here, more spare time. Now, I say this with an asterisk. It's eventually, because you get to spend more time with your friends and family, but it's going to take some time to get to that point because your business and the processes need to be established first and foremost as you have employees handling the majority of the necessary responsibilities. Initially, you're going to probably have less free time, technically speaking. If you have a full-time job already and you're doing this on the side as a side hustle and you already have a family in the mix, yeah, your spare time not going to be what you think it is right off the bat. Again, it goes back to the flexibility. It goes back to you get to call the shots. They're all interchanged here. And there's not one that's more important than the other, in my opinion. They're all really overlapping in some capacity. So keep that in mind. There you have it. If you have any other thoughts about starting your business or questions regarding it, by all means, let me know. Would love to talk to you about it as well. So even if it's offline, I won't use your name in a future episode, etc. So there you go. All right. Moving on, segment 3, tip and tool of the week. This week's tip is a plugin. It's Pumpkin Spice Admin. It's silly, but we are back in the season for pumpkin spice things, all things pumpkin spice. So it changes your admin screen to have the feeling of the fall with leaves and the coloring changes, etc. And this is a plugin. It's free. It's by Corner Shop Creative. Actually, I know the people who wrote this. Didn't realize that. But this was mentioned. I saw this in a Slack group. Somebody mentioned it. Patty actually mentioned it. I saw she'd mentioned it there. So anyway, check it out. The link in the show notes as well. So there you go. If you have any questions, go ahead and send it in via email, adam@kitchensinkwp.com, or use the SpeakPipe function on the website. Become a patron. That'd be great. Love to have your support to keep the lights on here. If you want to sponsor the show, like Marker.io did, you could do that too. There's a form on the website. Thanks for listening. See you next week. Now go out and do some awesome things with WordPress. All right? Bye-bye.